Hi guys, it's Piotr here, and this is a special, I would say, first separate meeting related to crypto market, and that's what we discussed till now. We were trying to cover crypto together with FX, together with indices. As I mentioned a few times, I'm going towards dividing this stuff. So this one, as the first one, is pre-recorded. It's around midnight CET. So we are approaching 23rd of May 2019, and we are going to discuss Bitcoin versus dollar and Ethereum versus dollar. So that's our first meeting, strictly related to the crypto market. It's pre-recorded. You are going to be able to see that probably within something around 12 hour of delays, but no worries, it's related to the higher time frame. So that's the bigger picture. That's how I see the things, at least for now. Before we start, as usual, risk warning, guys. Please bear in mind, trading this time crypto and crypto on margin carries a high level of risk, may not be suitable for all investors. You can sustain a loss of some or all your initial investment, so please do not invest the money that you cannot afford to lose. All right, so let's switch to the chart. Let's start with Bitcoin, and as I mentioned, we are talking about the higher time frames, right? So let's start with the monthly chart. And if you remember, we were discussing this chart few times. That's why we have few lines over here, few zones. I'm trying not to delay it, especially from that's what we put on the higher time frame. All right, so the whole story in short, we have to get back to what we've seen in September 2017, right? There was an attempt to push the price lower. Then we broke through that level in October 2017, and within 3 months we saw huge rally, and we hit something around 20,000, and then we gave up all these gains, right? So based on this monthly chart here, where you can see the arrow over here, right over here, based on the further price action, there was some demand zone creation over here, right? The main one based on the monthly chart. Of course, I didn't expect such a huge and fast drop, but to be honest with you, frankly speaking, right now when I'm watching this chart again and again and again, that was the most obvious zone to get back after such a rally, because that's where the demand resides based on the monthly, right? So we move lower, we hit that demand, all right, and right now we broke through few levels. Now the important thing is that the red dotted line here, bottom, right, that's the yearly open. That's the yearly open of 2019. The upper one, you cannot see why. Anyway, yeah, the upper one over here, right, that's the yearly open of 2018. Now, from this monthly perspective, you may wonder why we are fighting and we do have a problem around 8,000. There are few things. Fibonacci funds gonna to tell us that it's a 50% retracement from in between this year open. If we are going to take into consideration previous year open, this year open, and rally between the yearly opens, we are at around 50%. That's based on the Fibonacci. But as you can see, blue lines over here, we are going to switch to weekly chart in a second, because red color represents monthly chart and higher levels. Blue, as you remember, blue color represents what is going on the weekly chart. I'm trying to using these color differentials. Then I know, switching to the lower time frame, where we are based on a higher time frame, right? Now, you may wonder why we are fighting over here. So first thing first, it's okay, it could be 50% of the Fibonacci. Now, most important thing here on monthly, and then it's gonna be better visible on the weekly. The important thing is that once we created, if you remember, the consolidation above 6,000, right? So look on the monthly, where is the latest raising candle? It's here, right? It's July 2018, right? With upper shadow, right? So we have to consider after the breakdown, and only then, after the breakdown, listen carefully, and we are going to have 3 special webinars related to the possible supply and demand zones. So you are more than welcome to join us. More details to come. So this one, after the breakdown, was considered as a accumulation of shorts, right? So right now the whole range from July might be treated as a supply, right? So the top of that one, the upper shadow, it's what we, or where we have a problem right now. All right, let's switch lower to the weekly. Now, what I like here on the weekly, right, is the breakdown, right? It's what we've seen here when we broke to the downside through the 6,000, 5,800, right? As you can see, the latest rally before the breakdown, then the tether problems, right? Everything faced the supply around 8,000. As I mentioned, it's better visible at 8,000. But I think it's a matter of time before we will try to break higher towards 9,300, 10,000, all right? As long as 6,000 holds. But to be honest with you, I don't believe we are going to get that low. Anyway, of course, there are plenty of possible reasons we might see renewal of the downtrend, all right? But anyway, based on the chart only, I think what we've seen not a week ago but 2 weeks ago, the high and the close, right? That's the first possible demand over here right now, right? So we are talking about the high 7,330 and the close 7,120. So something around $300 range. But come on, it's a weekly chart. Don't forget about it. And we should see attempt to break higher towards 9,300, 10,000. How I get that level? Simply, very simply, I took that distance of the breakdown to the downside, right? And that's my measured move, right? I think that there are some guys, there was a wall of supply around 5,800, 6,300, right? The next possible wall of supply is around here, where probably some guys are going to try to sell it in between 9,300, 10,000 with the stops above, right? And then another swing higher, but that's above 10,000. I don't want to discuss it right now. We have a clear target over here, so meaning that what we've seen here, the move to the downside here, right? The move to the downside here created the supply and stops above from the higher time frame. That's how I see the things on the Bitcoin from the higher time frame. Now, let's switch to Ethereum. It also looks good, and we are going to discuss the daily chart over here. What is important, taking into the consideration latest price action here on the Ethereum, right? Blue color represents what is going on a weekly chart, right? So watch here, right? That's the latest place we've seen the Ethereum weakness after the break of this one, right? After we broke through this one, right? So that's the latest place of the latest weakness. There was consolidation going on, and suddenly week ago we broke through 200. First thing first, 200 psychological level. So now if this one was supposed to work as a supply, right, after such a break to the upside, we hit with at the same time, immediately after the break, we hit another possible supply, right? Another possible supply. So I'm not surprised we are pulling back a bit. But now, because of the breakout here, I think we should retest. Why we should retest? To check if that breakout is real, right? So if there was a supply zone, we should see some kind of the demand once pulling back towards 230, 200. I would say 200, some kind of the psychological level sounds good, right? And then attempt to break through 280, 300, all right, to hit another supply around 365, 400. Again, very similar measure. Let's have a look. That's the move to the downside. Once we are going to break to the upside, where are we going to? Come on. Can you see that? Again, we were discussing this based on the higher time frame. There are many, and only based on the chart. There are many different conditions which may push the price either way, right? So please do your own research. Again, that was the introduction. That was the first, not live, it is recorded. Special video, crypto related. Again, we are going to have a meetings crypto related separately to what we do during our meetings when we are watching FX and indices. All right, hopefully today's analysis is and going to be useful for you. Again, doesn't matter if you are going to watch 1 or 2 or 3 days after. Probably some levels are still gonna be valid. We did it, I did it based on the higher time frame. Enjoy and see you live next time. Have a great one. Thank you very much. Goodbye.